Wait, there's something very weak coming through.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, fellow Galactic listeners. I'm Todd Hoffman, and this is WSTR Galactic Public Access, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 120. Today, we are talking about the Rise of Skywalker trailer, or if you still want to call it episode 9 trailer, with our good friend, Danny from Castle Run Weekly. Welcome back to the show, Danny.
Thanks for having me, man. It's great being back.
we are missing Kristen tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, adulting. It's the worst.
It sucks. Apparently, you need a job to do Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, so I don't know.
Right, considering that they already said it's already going to be next year.
Right.
We don't even have time to recover. It's like, dude, I got to work now to get ready for Anaheim, So.
Right. My family is talking about vacations and stuff this year, and it's like, yeah, that's not happening. No, Anaheim or bust, man.
Right. And then we also have another special guest. JD Barrow is back, people.
Hello.
JD.
What's
up, JD?
Hi. They've tried their best to get rid of me, but it's just not working. I just keep coming back somehow.
It's like that rash that never goes away.
Oh no.
And then joining me today, as always, is Miss Heather Allred.
Send help. It's me and these three crazy men.
Oh no.
No, it's going to be great. Hey, everybody.
Hello.
It's like a great 80s sitcom just waiting to happen.
I think you might have to redefine your term of great there.
Right, exactly. And then Mr. Aaron Julian is being a student in Scholastic and working on 1,000 projects, so he will not be joining us today. But you got 3 fine fellows and a fine woman. We'll figure it out. We'll make it happen. So, but yeah, you know what? You could check us out the social media at WSTR Media, all one word, all lowercase. You can email us at mailbox@wstrmedia.com. You can leave us a voicemail at 630-557-WSTR. That's 630-557-9787. If you want to catch out all our back catalog of episodes, you can find that at podcast.wstrmedia.com. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can't miss us. Find us on YouTube at WSTR Media, and you will see all those episodes there too. We are brought to you by Audible. You can get your free Audible download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/WSTR. They have over 425,000 titles and growing every day. And you can choose from your iPhone, Android, Kindle, MP3 player, maybe cassette player. I'm not really sure. You can get it wherever you can download Audible. But yeah, you can get a 30-day free trial. And if you want to cancel, you can. And you still get to keep the book for free.
Woo!
I know. It's a too good of a deal. So if you want to try out a free Audible book today, go to audibletrial.com/WSTR. We got merch.
Shameless plug real quick. I actually used your link to get Master and Apprentice. So, boom.
Dude.
Support my friends.
Awesome. See? Now you're like our poster child. Be like Danny and join right now.
Of course.
I feel like we need a flashing number on the screen and everybody
Call
can see
now.
Call now. So yes, that's once again audibletrial.com/WSTR, and be like Danny, be cool, get a free book, and if you like it, you get to keep the book and help support us as well. And we also got some merch, so go to store.wstrmedia.com. We got all kinds of stuff, leggings, shirts, sweatshirts, we were just talking before we got on the air, literally it's 85 degrees where Danny's at, and where JD's at, it's snowing. That's what's happening here, people.
It's snowing.
It's April in Chicago and nice and sunny where Danny's at. So
I wouldn't call it nice, but
it's
if you like
something.
pollen,
It's something.
that's yeah,
So
there you go.
yeah, Danny would be wearing a t-shirt and JD would be wearing a hoodie. We got them all right there. You can check them out at store.wstrmedia.com. Heather,
Yes, sir.
tease that news.
Teasing the news. All right, first up, we have Wicca 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 Jedi Beats.
That was perfect.
That was amazing.
We have 111 million. So not
Okay.
110 million,
Right.
but 111 million.
Got it.
And then everyone's favorite thing, sand.
I don't know. It's kind of coarse and rough and irritating. It gets
It
everywhere.
really does get everywhere.
I'm
It
not.
does
I'm not
get
sure
everywhere.
if it's favorite thing.
All right, well, I just do the teasing.
Right.
I don't do the explanations till later.
Right. Speaking about teasing, Danny, did you see at Celebration the gentleman that was dressed in a sandbag?
Yes, multiple times, and it was fantastic.
Which is even better is he did get a picture with Hayden Christian.
Stop it.
Wow.
He also, I think, the day before, I believe it was the day before, he was dressed as Anakin with a like a protest sign against sand. It was pretty great.
And this is why we love Star Wars people. But yeah,
Yep.
he was dressed as sand, and I said that man deserves a medal. Just like Chewie. So
Just like
just like Chewie. All right, Twitter trash compactor people.
Get in there, you big polio! I don't care what you smell! Get in there and don't worry about it!
It's spicy. It's hot. Here we go. Every week we run a poll on the old Twitter to kind of see what people think. And this week we said, what was your favorite memory from Star Wars Celebration? Write-ins welcome. Okay, so our 4 choices were meeting new / old friends, exclusive merch, meeting celebrities, exclusive content. Danny, what would you say was your favorite memory of Star Wars Celebration?
Mine would be the meeting new old friends. That was
yours-
the best. And then meeting you guys, which was completely by accident too, which was even better.
No. It was by the will of the Force.
There you go. There, you're right. It was
Because
just so
let's
great.
just set the scene. I'm talking to my good friend Bobby, and Heather's right there, and I'm like, dude, check out that BB-8 unit. And I'm scoping out this BB-8 unit. I'm like, this, and I know Heather loves her droids, so it's like, Heather, you got to go over there. And she's like, I'm gonna rub his belly.
Yes.
I did. I had to have my Poe moment.
Well, and what was funny is it was like a moth to the flame. Like I looked down there and I looked at Kristen and I was like, that looks like Heather. I think that might be Heather. And then I started to walk toward and I just happened to look over to my right and I was like, oh my God, that's Todd. Todd! It was fantastic. It was perfect how we met.
It's like literally the only way we should have met, and we
Right.
did. So that was good. It was good.
That's true. I just
So,
hope
yeah.
your dad doesn't think I'm completely crazy.
Not at all.
Okay, great.
Not considering a lot of the things that we have seen. You're good. You're in the realm of normal. You're good.
That's okay. That's okay. All right. So Heather, what would you say would be out of the 4 choices would be yours?
Well, probably, I would probably have done a write-in, to be completely honest. Followed closely by the meeting new and old friends. But one of my favorite memories was, and I know I said this last week, but it's my favorite, so I get to say it as much as I want to. But
It's your show, girl.
it's my show. Join me. It was the 5-6 wonderful women dressed as Queen Amidala, and then all of the people that did the handmaidens with them. That was by far my peak cosplay moment It was just amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, I didn't see the handmaidens, but I saw a picture on the old Twitter. I was like, dude, that's a lot of handmaidens, and it was awesome. It looked very cool. JD, you were like across the street. That's as far as you got the Star Wars Celebration. You're across the street at the podcast meetup. You made it that far.
I did.
So I guess that was your favorite moment. I don't know. I don't want to speak for you.
Well, so fun fact about me, that was the first, and I guess closest I've ever been to any one of those convention type things like E3 or Comic-Con or any sort of Star Wars meetup or celebration or anything. That's the first one I had ever been to, mostly just because of how my life has gone up to this point in its very sad way. And so I'd have to say it was an amazing new experience. And for me, it would definitely be meeting new and old friends because me and Aaron just randomly ran into a bunch of people, started talking about Star Wars stuff. And then I got to meet Todd in person for the first time. And so that was fun. Yeah.
It was a delightful treat, right?
Mm-hmm, it was.
Yeah.
Todd, you're a celebrity.
I know. No, but it was, I mean, like, Danny, we didn't make it into the podcast meetup.
What? I was looking for y'all the whole time too.
we were like bums at the like outside bar. You know, they had like a little flame pit, and we were just sitting there by the fire, and we just like ran into. Shout out to Greg, and I think the other guy was Jeremy. They're like from West Coast, and we just started talking about Star Wars, and we couldn't leave, and people kept on coming in and random people, and we just kept on talking about Star Wars, and we couldn't, like, should we go inside? I'm like, dude, we're having so much fun out here.
Yeah, no.
So that's as far as we got. But it was still a lot of fun. I mean, like, JD, that like guy, like the 501st guy that made like little babies.
That was a strange moment for sure. We met somebody from the 501st who made like baby dolls of the different Star Wars races. That was like his job, and I was like, I didn't know we really needed that to be a job that somebody exclusively handled. Like that just didn't come to mind. Yeah.
That's oddly specific.
Dude, it was. I mean, he had a business card and everything, and it was legit. I'm like, dude.
He had a business card, so he was legit.
Yeah, it was legit.
So if they have a business card, you just give them a pass. You just whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, we met like, and then like some other 501st guys came and we started talking, and it was a good time. And like, I'm just like, well, I guess we're not going in there, but it was. No. How was your experience there, Danny? Was it good?
Oh, it was fantastic.
Good.
We actually got to meet a lot of cool podcasters and everything, and kind of make some connections and everything, which popular to how I am on a podcast, I'm not a very social person. So it was a struggle for me for sure. But I mean, it was something that got me a little bit out of my comfort zone and met some cool people. We got to chat with Amy Ratcliffe for a second. Dr. Annalise Ophelian from Looking for Leia. We got to talk with her as well. Met Skywalking Through Neverland, Blast Point, Star Wars stuff, Disney Universe. I mean, all of them. Like, I mean, wow. and what was cool is that it wasn't just a, hey, bye, I have a thing. We actually like chatted for like, I mean, we were there for a few hours, to be honest. I think we didn't leave till like 10:30.
Wow. So party animals.
Right. Which is not who I am at all. So this was definitely me out of my comfort zone, but it was right, a lot of fun. A lot of really cool.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, a little derailment, but that's okay. I would say the same thing with meeting new and old friends would be my choice as well for this. And that is what Twitter decided. So meeting new old friends was the Twitter poll winner. So there you go. Moving right along to the spicy tweets. It took less than 24 hours to somebody to ruin the end game's ending. And that person, well, I'm sure several people, but LeSean McCoy, who is a running back for the Buffalo Bills, went and saw Endgame and went right to Twitter and just spoiled it all.
Shame.
So it took, and then so of course all his followers were mad. But if you don't want anything spoiled, don't look at your phone. Put on headphones and get in the theater and just sit there and don't move, because
Take a tip from me from Force Awakens. I'm sure you remember that, Todd. It was spoiled for me on Twitter. So yeah. I social media blackout. The second that it released, I was like, nope, later, guys.
Yeah. I mean, like, even at the theater, like, you have to be careful with multiple showings. Like, people could be going to the bathroom and be like, oh, that was amazing, you know. This guy did this and that guy did this. And it's like, dude, you know, just put the headphones on.
Don't talk about the movie until you're in your car outside of the theater.
Right.
These are basic rules.
Well, so even outside of the theater, just a quick story. When we went to go see Endgame, I was in my all Captain America get up and coat and everything, and I was on it. I was ready. And me and Kristen were walking into the theater, and this guy goes, "Are you guys ready to go see Endgame?" And I just kind of looked at him, like my heart stopped and everything. I was like, choose your next words carefully. Like, I thought I was going to fight. And he was just like, you guys are going to love it. And then kept walking. Like, the whole time I'm sitting here going, I'm trying to remember what else is in theaters right now so I can be like, no, we're going to go see Dumbo or something. I don't know. Anything else.
Please don't say anything. Please don't say anything.
Yeah.
I've never felt such a panic about a movie. I was like, oh my God, I'm trapped.
Oh no.
You just see yourself like la 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 la, you know, like not gonna say anything. But yeah, so if you're really into a movie such as Endgame, which is huge and epic, just don't go on your phone. It's that simple, and you won't get spoiled. So there you go. And then our good friend Mr. Mark Hamill himself got to the Twitter on also, I think that was Friday, and hashtag missed opportunities, and it's a Photoshop of Lando, Leia, Luke, and Han and the Falcon. And so Twitter was ablazed, and then right before we got on this, Danny sent me something, and basically, you know, Mark's like, hey guys, like, you know, I was kind of joking, and I saw the pic and I missed them. Nothing more, nothing less. I love the new casting too, but didn't mean to get everyone's knickers in a twist. Maybe I should have just posted a bunch of Endgame spoilers instead. Hashtag relax and have fun, people. People can't take a joke these days.
Seriously.
Are we not to where we don't assume that Mark Hamill's ever actually trolling at all? Like, when has he become a reliable source for any information? Like, I love him, but it amazes me that people still get worked up about the things he says, and you got the articles.
It's also,
and all that.
especially in this case, it's kind of dumb the reaction that he got, because this picture, you know, is like his group of people. You know, they all kind of got their big break during these movies, and they made Star Wars what it is. And so he's kind of, you know, reminiscing about, especially now that, you know, Leia, the actor, she's gone, that, you know, it is an opportunity that he'll never have again. And so, like, why are you fussing at a guy who misses being with some people who were with him during a very important moment in his life? Like, that just doesn't seem valid, you know?
Yeah.
No. So.
Good point. Heather, you have anything to add?
I appreciate what Danny said. I mean, I just think we just can't take Mark seriously anymore. I think that we have to just be honest with the fact that these people that we love as actors in a character, this is also their life. Like, these are people they interact with, like JD said. Like, he's allowed to post things about memories. I mean, how many times do you on your social media be like, remember that time with my friends, that crazy day? Or, oh man, I wish so-and-so was with us on the beach, you know, because everybody loves sand. Sometimes I'm funny. Yeah, so, I mean, I think, you know, he's also just a person who has people in his life. And he made a post, and we need to relax.
He's reminiscing about the old days.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're totally right. I mean, JD, you're totally right. I mean, they made a ton of money. It's not like, I mean, he's just having fun with it. And it's like, you know, no one, I feel like you almost have to post these things and be like, I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah.
Hashtag,
Right.
you know, like.
Stop taking me seriously.
Yeah. But, you know, and I feel like Star Wars, 18 was rough. Now we're in 19, and I think people are getting back to being like a little fluid instead of so rigid, and then something like this pops up, and you know, people are like,
Right. I mean, it's hard. I think, you know, he made the comment after Last Jedi about, I mean, I don't know, I'm totally paraphrasing because my memory is not what it used to be, but not being 100% behind the arc for Luke. And so, you know, people probably like dug into that and now see this post and it's like, see, haha, we told you that something.
something.
blah blah blah. Oh man. There you go.
Anyway.
So there's, you know, so basically we have a professional football player ruining Endgame, and then we have a professional actor ruining Star Wars.
Oh my
so
God.
there you go.
Oh no.
They're not
That-
called spicy
that was
tweets
The
for
world's
nothing.
biggest source of clickbait.
Yeah. That was Friday on Twitter, people. So just roll with it. Yeah, just roll with it.
Until
say it was a good
you've
spicy.
seen the next big movie, just don't go near Twitter. Just don't do it.
Right.
It's not good for you.
Exactly.
Just don't
Words
do
of
it.
wisdom.
Exactly. All right, shall we move on to our main topic?
Do it.
And now for our feature presentation.
All right, it's hard to believe, but as of this recording, it was a mere 15 days from we just saw the rise of Skywalker gracing our presence at the Wintrust Arena in all its glory. And we're here to basically talk about the trailer. So we're not going to do like in-depth frame by frame breakdown of the trailer because it's already been out 2 weeks. Like that information's so old. But we're all putting on our tinfoil hats, people, and we're talking theories. We're getting into the minutia of what we think is happening and what's going on in this trailer and what we're going to see in a couple months on December 20th of the rise of the Skywalker. So I know Danny loves his space theories very
Yes, I
much.
do.
So Danny, let's start with you. What's some theories you have about what you've seen in this trailer, The Rise of Skywalker?
Well, so since Kristen is not here, but is with us through the Force, being adulting and everything, I wanted to actually kind of bring out a theory she had first when we recently talked about it.
Perfect.
So she believes that
Okay.
in some sequence of events, and I know you're going to cringe, Todd, but so the whole argument of Snoke doesn't matter, all this other kind of stuff. She believes that Snoke was Palpatine's first attempt at bringing back the dead,
Oh,
which is why how he found out how to keep himself alive and all this other kind of stuff. And so that's how he's back, because the one thing that the only person that's ever claimed that he can cheat death, what would be the coolest thing is if he could actually cheat death. So that's the wildest theory I've heard so far, and I kind of dig it. Because, I mean, it explains how he looks and all. Because, I mean, in the behind-the-scenes books and stuff like that, it talks about how his scarring and all that's congenital. Nothing was actually done to him. So, I mean, have you ever seen bringing someone back from the dead go well in a movie or anything? So, So it kind of makes sense to me. But yeah, that's my best theory so far.
Okay. Well, thank you, Kristen, for that. JD, do you have any opinions about this theory?
I expected the groans.
I just let me clarify, Danny. My massive sigh is not directed at the theory at all. I think it's a good theory. My sigh is because it's all happening again. I mentioned this to Todd at Star Wars Celebration because he asked me, like, have you seen the trailer? Like, what did you think about it, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, I kind of got upset with myself because I was just sitting there watching the trailer. And then when it ended, I caught myself, like, smiling and being very excited. And I realized you've been here before, JD. You watched Episode 8 trailer. You got into all the theories. You had your own theories. You had your own speculations. You jumped into that hype train, because you liked Episode 7. You're like, I'm sure I'm going to like Episode 8. And it all came crashing down. And now I don't know. I don't know what's happened, but I feel like the Star Wars community as a whole has kind of forgotten what happened, with Episode 8. And has forgotten that all the theories were for naught. All the speculation was for naught. Everything missed the mark. And all the hype was for naught. And I'm not saying let's give up on Star Wars Episode 9, because I love Star Wars. I will always love Star Wars. I'm hopeful it's going to be good. I'm not a cynic. But but at the same time, I don't want to repeat, I don't want to jump into the same ideas and the same things. And part of me does. Part of me wants to just do it all over again and, be disappointed or be excited or just let it happen. But the other part of me is like, no, you should slow it down. You should take a breath. You should,
To what you said though, JD, so I feel you. For one,
yeah.
I feel you. But at the same time, I guess the way that I approach Star Wars may be different than a lot of people, but the story and the lore and the theories and all that kind of stuff, you kind of take it with a grain of sand. I mean, as far as how everything goes, I mean, it's never gonna go how you think. And to claim that the Star Wars,
I heard that before.
I know, right? I'm full of these tonight. No, I'm just kidding. But with Star Wars as a whole, I mean, it's never been perfect. And that's the charm of it for me, is that there are movies and moments and things like that I'm like, I could have done without that, or did you have to say that, or did you have to throw the lightsaber over your shoulder? Things like that. That, in all honesty, Todd, that is the only thing in all of Star Wars that I loathe. I cannot take it. Yeah. And I didn't hate Last Jedi. I enjoyed it for what it was. There were times where I was like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt because this is the middle. This is 2 of 3. Yeah. So I share your frustrations. I think the only reason that I still kind of get into the theorizing, even though that I know inevitably I'm going to be wrong on every level. It's
like
just
99% of it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Todd, you may remember some of the stories I put out, because I mean, I'd put them on Instagram, and Todd was like, "Slow down, calm down." But I mean, I don't know. For me, it's half the fun. I mean, nothing's perfect, and that's a lot of the charm. So that's why I enjoy still making outlandish theories.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And again, I think part of the problem with Last Jedi, not to go on a too much tangent, but everyone had their theories and it got blown out of the water because like the trailer almost verbatim showed what really happened and no one liked it.
Right.
So to JD's point, we see a trailer and we love it, but it could be we're could be seeing sequences that are not in sequence. Yeah. And that throws you for a loop. And then when you finally see the end product, you're like, oh man, that didn't work out. That didn't work out.
Yeah.
So
I do feel like the trailer was kind of made it a way to trick people. And I hope that this new episode 9 trailer is not as tricky. Yeah.
All right, so we have let's stay on Snoke. Heather, do you have any Snoke theories that you want to add?
No. I mean,
No.
if you,
I know he wasn't in the trailer, but we're just throwing it. Yeah.
I mean, again, the only thing I know about Snoke is what was introduced to me in The Last Jedi.
Okay.
I mean, in my knowledge and education of Snoke in the Star Wars universe is in a 45-minute representation in a film, and when he was then no longer Snoke, after being chopped, my Star Wars brain said, oh. Fully thinking, oh, that's going to be part of Rian Johnson's new story, or he's going to come back in a different iteration of a storytelling thing. Not at all thinking he'd come back episode 9.
Okay.
Like he was introduced, he was shown with such intrigue, and who is he and what's going on, and he's got Kylo's ear, and oh my goodness, he holds all this power. Oh, he's gone. Okay, I'll learn about him later.
There's probably a book about it or something.
So that was my gut. That was my gut reaction to him. So in my brain, I had no concept of him being in episode 9.
Okay, I'm kind of with Kristen on this, Danny. I know this is surprising. I think Snoke is a clone.
Okay.
So, okay, basically we found about this like 28 years ago, because in Dark Empire from Dark Horse Comics, Luke faces the Emperor, but he's a clone. And so the Emperor is all about contingencies.
Right.
You know, he is the master of puppets. And why wouldn't he have a backup plan to a backup plan? Because, again, Anakin didn't work out for him. So he had a backup plan for put him in, a little breathing suit. And that didn't work out too well. So he's like, hey, you got a son now. So that's my backup plan.
Surprise.
And surprise. I don't want you anymore, Anakin. Bye. See you later. And I just think he was still messing with clones because, well, you had a clone army. And part of the Dark Empire kind of thing is like he had a secret cloning, facility and messing around with that. I mean, come on, look at Jurassic Park. Let's talk about that. You know, it's like they just keep on messing around until they get it perfect. And I feel like, to your point, Danny, it's like Snoke's messed up, man. He ain't well. So I feel like it could be like his attempt of a clone, or like you said, maybe Snoke is part of the Sith trying to figure out a way to keep these old bones alive. I don't know. So.
I mean, Palpatine had access to the cloning facilities, so
Yes, exactly.
it's not outlandish.
Right. It's not. It's not. All right. So here, sticking with Papa P. How the heck did he stay alive? JD, what's your thoughts?
Well, I don't think he is. I really don't. I don't think he's. I don't think he's physically alive.
Okay.
So we kind of touched on this idea in the last episode I was in with everybody. That I've yet to personally see the kind of the mainstream media of Star Wars do anything like risky.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like if you want to see something like cool and unique in the Star Wars universe, you got to go like read a book or a comic or a video game or something,
Right.
Like the movies have always kind of been very, very cautious about new ideas and new things and new structure. So I think that they're gonna, obviously he's coming back. Like I watched I forget what convention or conference he was at, the Palpatine Palpatine's actor actually showed up and was part of a panel, even though he wasn't advertised to be part of the panel.
Okay.
Pretty fun video up there, actually. And he was very coy with his hints about like, oh, I'm just here because no reason.
Stopped in for a laugh.
Yeah, so he's definitely coming back. I think he's just gonna be a Force ghost. Maybe he will be. Maybe he will have some connection to Snoke. I kind of doubt it. I'm kind of with Heather. I think Snoke is dead. Because bringing him back would be risky and would be interesting, and they just don't like to do that. So I think he'll be a Force ghost or a spirit, or when they're going into the Death Star, he'll show up as a spooky skeleton or something, and they'll have to run from him or something, like a big Force vision that Rey has. Maybe he'll be consistently in the movie, like maybe he's bugging Rey through the Force, and that's why they're like, we gotta go to the Death Star, we gotta blow something up to stop him from being all spooky. But yeah, I don't think he's actually gonna come back physically. I don't think they're gonna be that radical with it. If you kind of look at the current way Disney has treated the whole Legends Dark Horse stuff about Palpatine's cloning activities and about Palpatine coming back multiple times, they've really thrown it away. Like in the new Battlefront 2 game, they teased in the trailer with Palpatine's coming back, but it was just a pre-recorded message he had left for the Empire after his death. Oh,
right. Yeah, you're talking about, Cinder.
Yeah, so
Operation Cinder.
They have really distanced themselves from that part of Legends. Like, they have really kind of reinforced in other media that Palpatine is dead. He's dead. Mm-hmm. So I think
so was Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, to be fair, that was Lucasfilm and LucasArts who brought him back in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, and again, the only risk I feel that they taken, speaking about Maul, was Solo with Maul in it.
Yeah,
that was the biggest risk, and actually, I was like, wow, they actually did something like.
I was impressed.
Wow.
Yeah, like 90% of the major audience that saw this film had no idea that Maul was alive.
Yeah, no,
so
they didn't.
So I think to Heather's point too, it's like, Snoke was cut in half, but we've seen Maul back, so you never know. Mm-hmm. You never know.
Well, and to actually kind of comment on what you were saying, JD, about Legends and everything. So I can see where in some ways, and I'm not familiar with a whole lot of Legends. I have a very, very limited knowledge on it. So when I was listening to y'all's podcast about, I think it was the Old Republic, the whole time I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that. Let's tell me more, please. So it was a whole new world for me, which was really cool. I have a friend at work that's all about it, but as far as them distance themselves for Legends, it's been little details here and there that have either come up in the animated series, comics, books, things like that, where they've slowly started integrating some of the Legends. Strongly hitting to the Old Republic, as well as, you've got Thrawn. That's the easiest one to cite.
Yes. Yeah, right.
But it kind of makes me wonder if it's not so much that they're distancing themselves away from it, but they're almost kind of, just like Ahsoka says in Rebels, there's a little truth in Legends. And so it's kind of things like that. So I'm hoping that they're bringing more in. Like, I would love to see a Palpatine clone. I think that would be kind of cool, because it's just like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah,
because not only did he clone himself, but he transferred his consciousness. So that's a whole other thing.
Right.
And then on top of that too, like, it would be really cool to see him as a Sith Wraith, which is something that we've only seen in one episode of Clone Wars from Darth Bane. Yeah. What if he is more powerful than that, and things like that? So I would love to see more of the Legend stuff, because it's strange, and I love when Star Wars gets weird. I love it so much, because that's when it's at its best, to be honest.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's better than the movies. I'm just putting that out there. I love the movies. I love the movies, but the games, the video games, the comics, the good ones. Good ones. I'll put a big asterisk.
The good ones.
They are better. Yeah. They're better written. They're better told. They take more risks, and they have better payoff. They just do.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think it's like with any medium, like again, like in a 2.5 hour or 3 hour and 2 minutes, if you're watching Endgame, it's hard to get everything in there. So that's where when you have like, you know, like the New Jedi Order, it's like 19 books. It's like there's so much stuff that you can tell. So I feel like, you know, depending on the medium, like you can get more out of something, you know, based on whatever that is. And so again, from a visual storytelling perspective, you can only do so much in a movie. And if you want to get deep and weird in the Force and weird characters and weird theories, then that's where like a comic or a book is a better place for that kind of stuff. And to JD's point, that's what got me hooked. Timothy Zahn, Heir of the Empire. Again, that has a clone of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke, who's Luke is like two U's. So the severed hand, the Emperor recovered and basically created a clone of Luke, and so he had kind of like
theory came from. Okay,
yeah, and he kind of has basically has a battle with him, and it's kind of like Link and Shadow Link and like Knights are like it's kind of like that, you know. It's like fighting, you know, or like in Clone Wars where Yoda's fighting his evil consciousness, I guess. I mean Clone Wars got a little weird, and I like that about Clone Wars, you know.
It took chances.
So stuff like that. Yeah,
and it would be nice to see more of it. And honestly, it's a little frustrating that we're about to have our 12th Star Wars movie, our 12th one, if you include the Clone Wars movie, Rogue One, and Solo, right? This is 12th one, 12, and like 95% of everything that's ever been in these movies is either like slightly new, but nothing weird or crazy or strange, or just recycled material. Like it's fun and I love it, but at this point, it's time to do something new. Yeah, do something a little different. It's time. It's time.
We need more ball gullets in our lives.
I second that.
All right, Heather. What kind of theories you got? Any theories that you feel from what you saw in this trailer you want to voice?
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have things to say about who I think the Skywalker is.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't want to get too far ahead though. That's why I'm like just sitting here all patient and whatever.
slow your roll here.
Stay on target.
So I have those feelings that we'll talk about.
We'll get to there very shortly.
Yes. In regards to like the whole Papa P situation, you and I know we weren't going to go like frame by frame, and I promise I'm not going to, but you're watching this, right? You're watching this trailer and you're seeing all the characters you know and you love, and they're obviously going on a crusade together, and it's all very exciting, and beautiful scenery, blah blah blah. Then you see the Death Star, which when you first see it, you're like, "Ooh, the Death Star," and it's not until you watch it again that you're like, "Oh, the Death Star." So what does that mean? Who is that introducing? Am I going to see Vader again? Like, these are the things that you start to think, knowing full well that people are dead, but as we've learned, no one's dead.
Yeah.
No one's dead.
Until they're dead. And even then,
they'll haunt you as a Force ghost.
They're going to haunt you as a Force ghost. And so that's when then all of a sudden my theories started like spinning webs. Not quite like in the clone component, but more in like my geeky knowledge. So like Harry Potter came flying into my head like Voldemort, who split his soul into 7 pieces. Like, does the Force, when you are strong in the Force, whether good or bad, are you allowed to split yourself into different components? And I asked that from specifically coming off of The Last Jedi, where Luke force projects himself however many million light years away You know, like, is that something that you can manipulate with the Force? I mean, obviously we learned about Force Skype chatting as well. And like
touching the hands. Yeah.
You know, like, so to me, that's kind of where I see that coming from.
Yeah.
I didn't go straight to like clone or whatever, but to me, is the Force powerful enough to actually split yourself or save a portion of yourself? And then of course, like, alien comes into your head. So it's like, did the thing that he projected out of himself get put into somebody else and they're at a seance? And I mean, I don't know.
So many layers.
Yeah, no, you're hitting
hole,
it
people.
right. Yeah, you're hitting right in the head, because in Revenge of the Sith, people, if you look at Palpatine's office, it's full of Sith relics. They're right there.
Yeah.
There's a huge painting or the huge mirror on the back of the wall. There's these statues. They're all Sith related. And to your point, in the comics, now Danny, back me up, little sketchy here, but in the last Vader comic, he's using a mask that is from a Sith Lord that's possessed.
Yes.
And he's using it to kind of look through the Force, you know?
Which, by the way, this
And-
possessed helmet has a will of its own. It's not just
Correct.
a repeat of whatever he did in his actual life. Like, you put it on, it possesses and takes over and does whatever the heck it wants. So
If Doctor Strange's cape can do whatever he wants to do, I'm pretty confident.
All right, so now we got a filibuster going on. We got Marvel, Harry Potter, and Star Wars.
And I guess. Sorry.
But when the
Go ahead,
hobbits... No, I'm just kidding.
No. Oh, no. I guess kind of to Danny's point about... Because, they have been slowly introducing Legend stuff back in, especially through Rebels and Clone Wars. The mask is pretty much a direct... Because I've been reading the Vader comics. Is pretty much a direct reference to, like, Sith holocrons.
Yes.
So in Legends, they don't really appear at all anymore in any sort of the main canon. But Sith holocrons, because backing up a little, they're holocrons. They're basically like little computers with tons and tons and tons of information on them. So Jedis have their own to basically store past information and knowledge, and it's just like a recorded bunch of message and info and all that stuff. But Sith holocrons specifically had the disclaimer that if you're going to make one, to answer kind of Heather's question, you had to put a piece of your essence into it. Part of your actual life like corrupted it and sealed it and defended it so that other Sith Lords couldn't come and like tamper with it, mess with it, find out your dirty secrets, right?
Right.
And a lot of the different things that happen in Legends, like if you guys are familiar with Exar Kun and him attacking...
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, like attacking the Jedi for the first time with the Sith and all that stuff. All of these different events in Legends happen because somebody stumbles across a Sith holocron, and either the little mini version of whatever ancient bad guy is in there makes like a deal with them and tells them this forbidden knowledge that corrupts them, or they get possessed by that spirit and it like takes them over, it controls them. That is definitely something that could be going on with Palpatine. They need to go to the Death Star. They need to blow up whatever MacGuffin he's left behind.
Right.
It could be any number of things.
Yeah, I mean, Exar Kun, too, was in Yavin 4 with those temples, and he basically possessed a temple, and when a young, unexpected Jedi got in there, he basically got possessed by the Sith spirit.
Yeah.
And it gets wacky like that, and that's some of the stuff that was in Legends. So, and again, now they're introducing that same concept in Marvel, which is now, canon. So I feel like this relic thing, this Harry Potter thing, Heather, is legit.
Yeah.
I think it's legit. Just think about, again, going back to my earlier statement about contingency plans, why wouldn't Palpatine, who's the evilest of the evilest dudes of them all split his essence in multiple places. So if he got taken down, his essence is in other places, you know?
So the trick would be, how do you reunite them?
That's right. So, okay, so let's talk about Kylo for half a second. He's talking to Darth Vader's mask.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that through the Force, or is that a relic?
I think he's having the same interaction with the helmet as Rey had with the lightsaber. There's something special with that, because if you remember, he says that show me the dark side and I will finish what you started. So obviously there's been a conversation of some kind happening, and whatever he wants to finish, he's only seen a snapshot of, for him to go, you know what, I'm on board with that. I'm sure that he didn't see the kids that he killed or the mass murder of any kind. It was probably just the snapshot of the Empire, of the Sith
Absolutely.
and everything.
Yeah.
And I believe that's what the purpose of that helmet was. I wish that they would have showed something like that, or at least expanded on it somewhere in a novel or something. They haven't yet, but I think that's the purpose of that helmet.
Well, they kind of allude to that. Just real quick, Heather, and let you speak real quick. In the books, in the Aftermath books, right, in Chuck Wendig's kind of series, he's talking about like these churches that are following these relics, like and you know, there's like this whole kind of hero worship of Darth Vader, which Kylo's part of that, and then you meet Lor San Tekka or whatever that's given that to Poe. He's part of the Church of the Light, you know, and there's these things that they're following, you know, these relics or these, you know, these ideals of either the Jedi or the Sith. And so that's kind of going on, and that's somewhat alluded in kind of the Aftermath series. But like JD said earlier, they haven't shown it on film. So how weird are we going to get? And, you know, let's see if they go that route. So go ahead, Heather. You had something you wanted to say.
Oh, I just one of my really good friends, Tish. She
Hi, Tish.
Hi, Tish.
Hi, Tish.
She works in museums for a living as a career, and so she does storage. So she deals with everything, you know, from a piece of clothing to a little toy soldier, to a Victorian coffin, which is probably the coolest thing I've ever seen, by the way. Anyway, not to be morbid or anything, but
I mean, it's not like we're talking about Vader's head or anything. It's all good.
Right.
But I think in our conversations, we would argue that, like you're saying, relics and artifacts and items, they hold an energy, not to get all ghost hunter on us, but but it does. I think it holds an energy. And so I think if you apply that sort of logic into the Star Wars universe, specifically if we look at, the sacred texts and the magical tree, you know, like, you know, it's a real thing and for them. And specifically when you look at the lightsaber and it connects, and, you know, when Luke first touches it for the first time, and all these pieces where it's like, you just naturally feel connected to that item. Which then leads me to a different theory that we don't have time to get into about why he threw it over his shoulder, but that's a different episode for a different day.
I would love to hear your explanation. We'll have to talk.
I thought you might.
Another tease for another story for a different day, you know?
Day, yeah. So, but no, I think that's something that we need to look at. And I read somewhere that Kathleen Kennedy kind of confirmed that Papa P was going to be back in earlier conversations, which makes me wonder, as you look at canon and legends and everything that got shared at Celebration with new games and all of the comics, like, are they tapping back into things that the Star Wars fans have desperately needed and wanted, and really putting a final picture for Skywalker together?
All right, so we got to get through two more that I want to talk about. No, it's fine. It's great because this kind of goes. I'm going to flip to the light side.
Woo!
Okay, here we go. Did Luke do the same thing? did he grab these relics? He's looking for relics. You see this a little bit in Battlefront 2, Danny, when he's looking for different things. Did he try to resurrect the Force or resurrect his father? And is that Rey?
Oh, wow. I mean,
Wait, what?
Is Rey Anakin 2.0?
So to answer the first one, I don't believe
Yes.
that that's the case.
Okay, all right.
I think,
All right.
to me at least, the way I interpreted all the relics and stuff that you see in Last Jedi and Battlefront 2, it was more of a trying to understand the past. What the Jedi really were, because he came about in a time where they didn't exist, that they were myth, they were bedtime stories. Like, there wasn't really anything to say, this is the Jedi. And even then, you look at the Jedi Council, which he goes through and points out in Last Jedi, even then it was skewed. So it's kind of like getting back to the basics, almost like if a Christian or somebody in Catholicism was going all the way back to the first text, kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is the way that I took that.
Okay.
No, I don't think she's Anakin at all. I really hope not.
Okay. All right.
I want her to
Just
be her
I-
own thing. That's the thing. Is I
Yes.
want her to be
Okay.
her, because yes, she's ridiculously good at the Force. Yes, it comes easy, but it came easy for Anakin too. We just didn't see it in the same capacity because he was a child. He was pod racing. That was his thing. And so I feel like if we would have found Anakin at I don't know, she was 18, 19 years old when we found her in Force Awakens, that we probably would have seen a lot of the same stuff. So I think that she's, and not saying that this is what you're doing, I'm not saying that, but I think she's unfairly scrutinized because she's a woman a lot of times, and not given the same allowances that Anakin would have gotten if we started the story there with them. But I don't want him. I don't want her to be Anakin. I've never cringed at a theory, Todd, but that's the one that I cringe at.
Well, and it's risky too, because again, you want Rey to be, I mean, she is a role model. She's doing her own thing. And then you're like, oh no, he's a dude. Or she's a dude because it's Anakin.
Right.
I don't think that's a little too weird. But all I'm saying is, like, to the second part, is Luke trying to go, why he went back to the Jedi Temple, to the original Jedi Temple, is to mess around with the Force and see if he could bring balance to it. And, because Kylo scared him, is that something that he tried to do, and that maybe that is Rey, a virgin of the Force again. Because again, I don't think Kylo's lying, but I don't think about from her parents' perspective, but maybe she got picked up and she did get dropped off, but those weren't really her parents. Because again, when she looks into in the cave, it's just herself. So I don't know.
Well,
it could be something.
The same ship that her parents fly away in is in the 9 trailer. So
yeah,
it's possible that they're still alive. So
right,
I don't know.
Right, yeah. All right, so let's land on this one and finish on this one.
Great.
Which Skywalker is rising? JD.
That's a tough question. It really, in my opinion, it really boils down to how risky are they going to be? Are they going to play it safe, or are they going to be risky?
Yeah. Right.
I really don't think it's Kylo. We've been cemented now twice in 2 different movies that he is a Solo, and he kind of hates that that's his identity, but he accepts it, right? And everybody calls him a Solo. I think it's Rey. I think they're gonna pull. I think Abrams, had some ideas for his mystery boxes, even though he never concretely made them.
Sure.
And I think one of them was making Rey a Skywalker. It's obvious. It fits. Danny has the point in that it would kind of be nicer if she was her own thing. But.
Yeah.
The Star Wars community didn't react so well to just a quick, no explanation, your backstory doesn't matter right? So I think Disney's going to take the safest option, say, oh, she's a Skywalker, you know, Kylo lied to her, or Kylo didn't actually see the whole picture, or something.
Right.
The more dangerous option, I think, that would be more cool, is have it apply to Kylo. Have him get redeemed and kind of take up the mantle of the Skywalkers as a whole. Not specifically his family, but the idea of the Skywalkers. And if they wanted to bring in that theme of like him lying to Rey or him being lied to by Snoke, what they could do, and this is a slight tangent, but we discussed it earlier, is that they could make use of the idea of relics, specifically Darth Vader's helmet. And if they wanted to be really risky here, they could say that Obi-Wan was super, super accurate. That Darth Vader and Anakin were actually two completely different identities. That the helmet contains Vader, and other relics that are on the Death Star contain Palpatine. And Kylo wants to get to those. He wants to embrace the dark side. He wants to, you know, whatever, which is why he's on Endor and everyone's kind of racing in a direction. And Anakin, the real Anakin, the truth of Anakin, is his own with the Force person. And he'll show up and he'll explain things and he'll redeem Kylo and he'll come into his own as the legacy of the Skywalkers. It would be cool if they did something like that. You know, a reversal of history, a redemption of people, a separation from truth and lies. Vader and Anakin are completely two different characters. But I think they're gonna play it safe. I think they're gonna make Rey a Skywalker.
Rey's a Skywalker,
and they're just gonna
roll credits.
And they're just gonna move on because a lot of people will be unhappy, but the majority of people will be satisfied with that answer.
Okay. I got chills because I was thinking the same thing. All right, Danny, who's rising? Who's the Skywalker that's rising?
First off, JD, that was amazing. Like, I don't know if you even noticed my face the whole time. Visibly, my mind is blown. Because, like, I considered the whole, like, what you were talking about as far as the difference in Anakin and Vader. Because I always wondered why Anakin all of a sudden was a Force ghost at the end when this is a power that has to be sought and learned and all this other kind of stuff. Not saying he didn't, but he also wasn't a Jedi. So the separation of that character would be immensely cool. And I mean, it kind of, I mean, there's things to support it throughout the canon. So I dig that theory a lot. But as far as like Skywalker Rising,
stamp of approval. Yes, stamp of approval.
Like, I mean, my mind's still blown, so I'm trying to formulate my thought, but I had it already before. But no, I mean, as far as the Skywalker Rising, in all honesty, so personally, as much as I do like the character of Rey, I don't want her to be a Skywalker. I think that would be a very cheap move. Just kind of like, oh, hey, she's Skywalker the whole time, and now we've introduced a whole other branch of Skywalkers for no reason at all, but just in the last movie. And I get why one would do that, but I feel like that would be the easy way out in a lot of ways, especially for people who have given 40 plus years to this story, because it's not individual movies, it's a overall world lore and everything. And so there's just so much to it that, in all honesty, if they did take that way out, I feel like it would be more of a, oh, well, we don't think much of you guys, so here's this little thing. You didn't spend 40 plus years in this, here you go. But no, as far as Skywalker Rising, I would love for Ben to be redeemed. I think that there is a possibility for him to be, only because I don't totally believe he's acting of his own accord right now. Not that he's being controlled by Snoke, but the little bit that, I don't know if you guys have been watching Star Wars Resistance or not, but they've alluded to how the First Order trains their troops. We know that in some way they're brainwashed, but the term they keep using is brain scrape, which to me, it gives me chills thinking about it. It sounds horrifying. I mean, it's just, so literally it tears away whatever you are, and you're not you. You are this blind soldier, essentially. And it stands to reason that Snoke would have used a similar, if not more intense tactic on Ben had he gotten his talons in him and stuff like that. I mean, he's top agent. There's no room for falter. And especially after he killed his own dad, he even says the deed splits you to the bone. So he can tell he can tell that he's breaking. And that whatever Snoke put in place is not holding. And I think that's why Kylo does what he does to kill Snoke, is because he snaps. And at that point, he's like, nah, we ain't doing this anymore. So I don't think it's outside of the realm of Ben being the Skywalker Rising. But overall, I think that it's more of talking about the legacy of Skywalker. That it's gonna end as far as just the Force and what a Jedi should actually be, and not this muddled version that we've gotten through all of the movies and all of the story and everything. And the truest the Force could be. So I'm going more with not necessarily that it's going to be a person rising, but I think it's the overall legacy of the Skywalkers rising to be the next generation of the Force, or however that looks.
Wow. All right. Very good. Very good. All right, Heather, you're up.
Okay. So I am on Kylo being the Rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
I know in previous episodes I've wanted Kylo to go really dark and just go dark and evil and just do it.
Do it.
Anyway, I personally think that Disney not making Rey a Skywalker is very much up Disney alley, and here's why. I think if Disney does it correctly and have her be quote unquote nothing and become this amazing Jedi who can wield the Force, their campaign to little girls that you can come from a desert planet and rise to fight is going to be a major campaign for them. And I think it's something that's needed in the Star Wars universe as a female. I think you look at Padme at 14, 15 in Senate trying to run a country is powerful. You've got Leia, who went from a princess who could take care of herself to a general who commanded respect. You know, you've got Jen basically running a rebellion. You know, this is what they've set up for us. Are women that, regardless of their station or their history, have come and battled and survived, except for Jin, who died, but that's a different story.
The one exception.
It was for the cause. Do it for the cause.
So it was all good, you know. And so to me, I think it's a smart move for them just to leave her as that. Or if they're going to expand her story, please have it be something that's not the obvious, because I think you're cheapening her character altogether. I want Kylo to be the Rise of Skywalker. I want us to potentially quote unquote ignore the Solo, the Ben Solo component. I really want him to connect to the Skywalker side of things, because that is, as Danny was saying, where the bigger part of the story is, because you've seen it through 3 generations, highs and lows and ups and downs and strength and weakness and everything. You know, I struggle with a full redemption story, because it just seems like there's the bad guy and someone got to him and now he's good. So if it's done correctly and done smartly, I think we're all going to be fine with it. So that's kind of what my hope is that they handle it really, really well. And then, because it is what it is, that good does beat out evil. But with the evil that we've heard, the laugh around the world, it should make for some good storytelling.
Right. Yeah.
And then at the end, Ben throws the Emperor over the reactor shaft. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
It could be the biggest twist of all, and Kylo just wins as the bad guy instead
There you
of
go.
Rise of Skywalker.
Just leave it on that note, and everybody's
And
like,
he's-
whoop.
it's Infinity War all over
And
again.
he sits in the Iron Throne.
Right.
And sits right on Papa P's chair.
Sits in
Yeah.
Palpatine's chair, spins around.
Yeah. Whee! Yeah, so I'm kind of combining all these theories, and I'm taking the cheap way out. But basically, I'm kind of with Danny on more of a Skywalker being more of how the Jedi is and not really a person. Because I feel like if you want perfect balance, where you want evil and light together, you have to be that, I'm, using the gray Jedi, you have to be in the middle.
Yeah.
Luke realizes that, if I'm a really good guy, there's going to be a really bad guy in the Force. That's how the balance works. And now we're facing the really bad guy. He's come back for part 3, act 3. Here we go. And we have to do something. I like the idea of like all the Jedi, like, I want to see Qui-Gon. I want to see Anakin. I want to see all these Force ghosts behind Rey helping her defeat the evil bad guy. I think that would be kind of a cool thing. I kind of do like Ben being redeemed. It would be good if they want to be really risky, do the Reylo thing. And at the end, she's pregnant with Ben's child and they're going to start a whole new Force thing, Let's just go that
Careful,
way.
So for those of you who can't see what's happening here,
Yeah, right. Danny's shaking his head. No,
Visible Vader.
no. But I kind of, JD, I'm totally on board with that. He's Vader is a walking coffin. And the idea that Palpatine wouldn't make it somewhat of a Sith relic and make it more, he's a destroyer. He is absolutely his destroyer. And the fact that it split him when, now he's good guy because he saw through all those lies and now he's Anakin Force Ghost. I really do feel like they're two separate entities. And that's why Ben is still talking to a deformed, burnt helmet, because there's still something there. So, I kind of like that idea that maybe, and like you said, Danny, I mean, it's, Snoke says it to Kylo. It split you, that deed split you to the core. I feel like Ben's kind of going through the same thing Anakin did, So, again, Star Wars, as much as we love Star Wars, there are recurring themes. That's the whole point of it. And
it could all be solved by communication.
and love.
Actually, I think just death. Just that's the big message of Star Wars. It's just kill someone, and you fix everything.
Kill the right person.
Okay. All right. One last tangent. That after Obi-Wan and Yoda are like the last two. I mean, a couple stragglers, but that was their plan. They're like, dude, we got to kill the bad guy.
Yeah.
And Luke's like, that's my dad, dude. Like, I feel the good in him, but Yoda, the Grandmaster Jedi, and Obi-Wan, who is amazing Jedi, both said, you got to take him out.
Yeah.
They couldn't see past the monster.
Right.
And Luke's the only one that said, you know what? That's my dad. And I could feel, because I'm a Skywalker, he's my blood. I can feel there's still something in him that's good, And to your point, JD, killing everybody, it solves everything. But that's not really a message I don't think Lucas is trying to do. No. Nor is Disney trying to do like, oh, if we kill Kylo and we kill the Emperor, everyone's happy. I really feel they're going to do something. I mean, this is the end, guys. This is like end game. This is, this is
the culmination of 40 years.
Yes, not just 11. Just not 11. So I think it's going to be epic. I think, I hope we're surprised. I hope we're pleasantly surprised and we get, check off some boxes here. So. We shall see. We have plenty of time to theorize and get to it. But real quick before we end, we did have a listener, Josh Austin, who Josh said, I believe that Hux has been or will be possessed by Palpatine. So here we go again, kind of like a relic thing. Maybe somehow General Hux is possessed by Palpatine and carrying out the First Order, the new First Order. So you never know. You never know. So thank you, Josh, for that comment. So I'm heavy on the relics. I feel that that's going to be somewhat explained in this film. So, well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. There's probably more theories that we haven't covered, and we have plenty of time to go over some more theories. So
JD's got me set for months.
That was a good. that was a good first run. So Heather,
Yes.
why don't we jump into the news?
Let's do it. It is time for News of the Week.
And now, the Star Wars News of the Week.
I love it. I love it. So, April 25th, Too Fab comments
Too Fab.
that Brie Larson, aka Captain Marvel, is ready for Star Wars. Sign the girl up. She proves that she has some awesome Jedi skills on a recent appearance of The Tonight Show. Jimmy Fallon challenged her to a game called Beat Saber. So basically, think Jedi meets Rock Band. So
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
swinging virtual lightsabers at like boxes and dodging obstacles, all to the beat of a song. So Fallon started off first, proved he's not particularly ready to become a Jedi. But he did a pretty solid job. But then Miss Larson took over. Her song was a little bit more complicated than his, but she nailed it.
She rocked it out.
So, it's, I don't even know what to say. Women rule. No. So, it's another piece of fantastic training for sci-fi blockbusters like this and that other Disney-owned franchise that Larson is a huge fan of, with Star Wars set to move beyond the Skywalker saga. Then they're, possibly looking for new people to wield some lightsabers, and her audition on The Tonight Show, audition in quotes,
Yeah, right.
potentially gets her up there, knowing full well that, Mr. Samuel L. Jackson played in both realms. Why not Brie Larson?
There you go. Add her to the list.
So there you have it. But I think we all need to get a little bit of Jedi Rock Band in our life.
Yeah. It was, I mean, it's worth a YouTube view. She pretty much nailed it. And Jimmy even tried to mess her up, and she was still rocking it out and got a lot more points than he did. So,
Yeah. But what are you going to do? So.
All right. So, guys, I just have to tell you, Star Wars is dead. It's dead.
Is it?
Yeah. But,
It's been a lot of fun talking to you guys.
Yeah. And this podcast is over.
No.
So sci-fi.
I didn't realize I was part of your
Sci-Fi Wire. Right, exactly. Sci-Fi Wire. This also came out on Friday. It's basically saying with 111 million views in just 24 hours, it beats out Star Wars: The Last Jedi, which had 91 million views, and doubles that of Star Wars Force Awakens in a 24-hour total. So the Rise of the Jedi, the Rise of the Skywalker trailer showed that Star Wars isn't dead, and it had a lot of views and in a short period of time. And this is kind of where we're at in social media and movie viewing, is that we need those clicks, and there's a lot of clicks on this one. Mm-hmm. Any thoughts on this, Danny?
Oh, I thought the boycott was working. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I'm not surprised, to be honest. And that just shows you right there that the fan base is actually growing and not decreasing. Mm-hmm. It was something that I noticed at Celebration, because, I mean, I know that, and I'm sure y'all probably felt the same at some point, too, is that it starts to wear on you hearing all these people telling you how much Star Wars sucks and how much Rian Johnson did this and Last Jedi that, and I'm like, if I have to hear one more thing about it, like it's like, are you kidding? And when you go to when I went to Celebration, though, like there were people who weren't particularly fond of the Rise of Skywalker trailer, and I mean I was all on board, obviously, but I mean they were like, yeah, it was okay or something like that. but I never had anybody yell at me about how awful it was going to be and how Rian Johnson ruined Star Wars and nothing about that. Like, I didn't hear anything about The Last Jedi the whole weekend, and it was fantastic. But I mean, it just goes to show you that it's a small group of people yelling really loudly. And I think the numbers don't lie, to be honest.
Yeah.
If anything, they're growing the fan base. It's gaining more momentum, and I don't think that the fatigue is a thing.
There you go. Well put. Danny, would you do the honors for this next one?
Oh, gee. Yeah. Yeah. So April 25th from Slash Gear.
Slash Gear.
Yes. Return of the Last... Or, I'm sorry, not The Last Jedi. I'm already on that kick. The Return of the Jedi question answered in the new Star Wars Land comic. This week, the first issue of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is in comic book stores everywhere. They, Han and Chewie, head to Blackspire Outpost on Batuu, which is the same place that we're going to see in Galaxy's Edge for Star Wars Land. So freaking excited. And in this moment, in this comic, it takes place kind of between Return of the Jedi and somewhere between Last Jedi and all that. I think it's judging by their outfits. I read this actually before we recorded, so I was like, I want to be informed, you know? Judging by their outfits, it seems kind of closer to Return of the Jedi, if anything, unless Han just never gets new clothes. So, I mean, there's that, I guess.
It's an option.
New jacket.
Right, new jacket. There you go. But yeah, so we get to see Han and Chewie actually pulling a job for Doc Ondar, who is going to be one of the main centerpieces of Galaxy's Edge. He's an antiquities collector and all this other kind of stuff. And
oh, you said a collector?
Yes, a collector.
Yeah.
Much like our own MCU collector. No.
That's right. That's right.
But he's got a whole sorts of weird stuff, and part of his weird collection is a baby Sarlaac.
Oh.
So for the first time, we actually get to see the full body of a baby Sarlaac. And it's unsettling. Wow. It's something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we get to see that and everything, and I mean, obviously, as adventures with Han and Chewie go, hilarity ensues and things happen. They're betrayed, all that kind of stuff, and they bring it back. So they're setting up a greater story here. I wasn't necessarily impressed with the comic. It kind of seemed very linear, and I feel pretentious saying that. I'm not trying to be, but it kind of felt like from the beginning it was only going to go one way, and that was it. So it didn't really leave much open for anything. So I mean, I'm just excited to know more about it as far as Doc Ondar and all that. I mean, you know how I am about the lore, so I'm interested to know what they're going to reveal throughout it and everything. But yeah, so that's that.
Awesome. Thanks, Danny.
Of course. Wow. Hopefully I did okay.
You did great. You did great.
Awesome. That's it. That's all the news we have, guys.
All of the news.
All the news. I'm sure there's more out there, but that's all we're going to give you
Yeah.
today. We don't want to overwhelm you people. But I think it's time we move on to Cantina Chat. All right. So, Danny, we've had some time. You've hopefully caught up sleep from Celebration. What geeky things have you been up to this past week?
What have I not been up? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, man.
I mean, literally just recovering a lot, to be honest. I didn't realize how much I would need a vacation from my vacation, to be honest. But no, I mean, Celebration was amazing. Me and Kristen have just been kind of reliving a lot of those memories. And just, it's fun to talk about the crazy stuff that happened, the people that we met, just kind of happenstance. And then for me, and this was true of when Kristen joined the podcast too, is getting to see a lot of things through her eyes for the first time. It is way more enjoyment for me, I'm sure, than it is her. Because, like, I got to see her starstruck for the first time. I didn't know that she could be starstruck, and it was fantastic.
Right.
But, I mean, other than that, I mean, I guess more on a a direct thing. I did read the Vader Dark Visions comic, the latest one, and it was weird.
Okay.
It was essentially like, I mean, not guessing without spoiling it. I mean, there was a girl that had an obsession with Vader, somehow thought Vader loved her. It didn't turn out in her favor, but it was very strange. So, like, I literally read it and went, huh. Okay. So yeah, that's the Star Wars thing I read, at least, and I'm reading Master and Apprentice, so
Yeah.
which
Nice.
is fantastic.
Nice. Very cool.
So
very
good.
cool. JD,
Hello.
how goes your geeky week?
My geeky week has been quite interesting. I've mostly been kind of replaying a lot of Halo, and just enjoying that time off. Specifically in the realm of Star Wars, I've been asked to help a friend of mine edit a book he's hoping to get authorized by LucasArts or Lucasfilm or whoever's left that Disney has not dissolved. I unfortunately can't give the title or anything because that's not what I'm allowed to do. But if it does happen, and if I ever get invited back onto the show, which I always say is never going to happen again, but then you guys somehow bring me
But
back
here
in.
you are.
Somehow. I
Oh,
get
JD,
invited.
we're gonna have to talk, man. No, I'm just kidding.
Then hopefully maybe he'll have some news for me that I can officially share with all of you.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Excellent. Perfect. Yeah. So,
Heather, how about you?
yeah, totally. So, I recently celebrated my birthday.
Woot,
Happy birthday!
Thanks, guys. But as you know, sometimes when you get older and the people that you want to celebrate with, schedules get a little tricky to pull together. So, I am celebrating with my girlfriends this coming Saturday, which many of you might know is May 4th.
Hey!
May the 4th.
So I'm super excited that I could celebrate my birthday on May 4th, and they're kind of planning like a surprise shindig for me because it's my 40th birthday, so it's like one of the milestone biggie
Hey-o.
ones. And I've been told to wear a costume.
Oh, you know it's gonna be good now.
So it's a costume on May 4th, people. So, I am going back into the salt mines of things, and I have I found all my materials for my like quick low budget Ewok situation. So we're gonna do that. It won't be as cool as the Ewoks I saw at Celebration, but that's okay.
I was really hoping you were gonna say Ewok the whole time. I was like, please say Ewok, please say Ewok.
Yep, I'm gonna make little fuzzy ears, and I've got my orange fabric for my hood, and
Cool.
I'm pretty excited. So, so that kind of got planned out a little bit. So I'll be getting that done. So hopefully by next week's recording, I'll have photos, so you'll get to see those on the socials. So,
Sweet.
That is amazing.
and then I go see Endgame tomorrow.
No.
And so I'm just going to be crying for 3 hours. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes,
Fun
you will.
times.
Todd.
I finished Master and Apprentice.
Nice.
Like in a week. I could not stop. It's so good. There's so much in there. It's so meaty, and I love Qui-Gon Jinn even more. And there's talk about prophecies and Dooku, and it's so good. So read that book. It's amazing. I right away went into Phasma. I haven't picked up Phasma, so I started reading Phasma, and that's been interesting because I really don't care for her, but I'm enjoying the story so far. It's been pretty good. So did that. Seen Endgame. I won't spoil it for you, Heather, or anybody else, but
Thank you.
That was pretty fun. It was pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie, I cried and it was awesome. It was good. It was good. So did that. Yeah, that's been my geek of the week, man. It's been good. It's kind of weird, you know, especially with Endgame kind of be the last. I'm very interested to see again how Rise of the Skywalker will be. So trying to, you know, like, oh, they did all this stuff. I wonder if they're going to do all this stuff in, you know, Rise of the Skywalker. So I hope it's not as cookie cut.
Does Lucasfilm love us the
Endgame
same?
wasn't as cookie cut. So yeah, exactly. Exactly. Cause I feel like Endgame hit all the right buttons, you know, just like it was paced well. It had nostalgia and all this kind of stuff. So I feel like, can Rise of the Skywalker do the same thing? So we shall see. We shall see. But yeah, that's been my geek of the week.
Loving it. Loving it.
Sweet.
Well, you guys, this has been a long, information, theory-filled episode. So I'm going to put a bow on it.
Let's do it.
By saying, thanks again for listening to another episode of WSTR Galactic Public Access. Don't forget to check us out on social media. We're at WSTR Media, all lowercase, we're all one word. And we do want to hear from you. So this is your chance to comment, tweet. You can rate us on iTunes, and you can start emailing your fan theories to mailbox at WSTRmedia.com. Or call and leave us a voicemail at 630-557-WSTR, 630-557-9787. And then we'll take a listen and play it on an upcoming podcast. Be sure to
Operators are standing by.
They're standing. My cats are at the ready.
Call now. Call now.
Oh, man. Don't forget our back catalog of episodes at podcast@WSTRmedia.com. And we've got you covered, like we said, from 85 to 35 at store.WSTRmedia.com for all of your needs. Well, if you've not been with us for the past hour, don't forget, Danny and JD have joined us. So, Danny, if we want to find out more about you, how do we do that? Where can we find you?
Sure, you can find me on Face Group. I don't know.
Face group.
Still tired. I don't know. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter on @Kessel Run Weekly, as well as our website, KesselRunWeekly.com. We've got new episodes every single Wednesday.
Great.
More of actually this theory-filled kind of stuff. So we're digesting Celebration over the next month, so kind of like a Sarlaac.
Nice.
So having fun doing it. So
Nice.
join us.
Very cool. Thanks, Danny. JD, same question.
I would hope so. Otherwise, my answer is going to be weird. So you can contact me through my email, John D. Barrow, all one word, all lowercase, at gmail.com. You can also find me through Facebook Messenger. I haven't posted anything on Facebook in literal years, but you can shoot me a message at JD Barrow. And then also the new, more official way is that if you Google a little thing called Illuminate Productions, you will not only find myself, but you will also find our dear friend Aaron Julian. We are working on a bunch of audio drama stuff. It's fantastic. It's all coming out May 29th. Google Illuminate Productions and see what Aaron and I have been cooking when he's not on this podcast. And he's with me.
Doing that now.
Everyone's typing. Gotta find it. What's going on? That is super exciting. Thank you for sharing that, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, and then you know how to find Todd and I. I mean, you know, we've been there, done that, whatever. So, but next week, episode 121, we're traveling through the universes, and we're gonna look at Avengers Endgame. So come with your box of Kleenex. And, you know, your favorite costume.
Right, yeah.
So Danny just put on Captain America again. You'll be ready.
Right, exactly.
And we'll take a listen. It's going to be fun. So that's it, guys.
That's it. Yes, thanks again, Danny and JD, for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah,
Totally.
It was a lot of fun.
Well, you're not off the hook yet because tradition. There's only one way to end this thing.
I've messed this up every time.
It's okay to remember. All right. So
That's the beauty of it.
Same.
that's what makes it fun. All right. I'm going to finger cue my people. Ready? Now.
This
is
Palpatine.
Yeah.
That kind of works.
We
Maybe
missed you,
not.
Aaron. We missed you, Kristen. Thank you.
Yes, we miss
Aaron,
you.
we miss you.
Fun fact, Aaron didn't have to do school. I just murdered him and replaced him.